Things are just not going the way the Democrats had planned. It's really weird. I will admit I did not expect this. I did not expect them to be in the dumps the way that they are. Just a month or two ago, Democrats were very very confident. They really were. Okay, and when I say Democrats, I'm not just talking about Democrat politicians or candidates. I'm talking about the entirety of the left. It feels as if their prospects, their hope for midterm success is dipping. You're seeing Democrat voters, radical leftists, the ones outside of deep blue areas, they are concerned. They're not feeling the love, they're not feeling the excitement or the momentum that they would perhaps that they were expecting from the Democrat Party at this stage during the midterm election cycle. Yeah, yeah, granted, you've got in New York City, they're giddy because they're getting more communists to destroy themselves because I don't know, they just hate themselves almost as much as they hate America. No, I'm talking about obviously Maine. We've got that challenge. They're in the dumps over there. The best news that happened for them was that there was an ice shooting, and that gives them something to do, something to complain about. Outside of that, in little pockets of activity, you're not seeing the excitement, the momentum, the possibilities of them winning. And then you look at the actual DNC, you look at the actual candidates, and they're not acting like any party would normally act during a midterm election cycle when you're on the underdog side, right? Midterms have always, for 40 years at least, they have always gone to the party that's not in power. That's where the gains are made. Even in 2022, Republicans made some gains, but they're not seeing it here. Okay, they're not seeing those same gains potential during the midterm elections for President Trump's second term. It seems more and more likely that Republicans will retain control of the House and the Senate. Now, let me be clear when I say that. I'm not making predictions at this point. It's way too early. I'm talking about the sentiment that we're feeling from the Democrats. I'm talking about how their voters are acting, how their pollsters are acting, how legacy media is responding to pretty much any news at all. They feel like they're already defeated. No, they won't acknowledge that. Of course, don't expect to hear even an analyst say, "Oh, Democrats are looking down in the dumps," but behind the scenes they are. Behind the scenes they realize that they should have been in the process of building momentum for a blue tsunami come November. But they're not. They're struggling just to keep their own identity straight. The Plattner thing hurt them. Yes. The victories by the Democrat Socialists of America, that hurt them a lot. Yes. But their stunts, like the Ro Khanna stunt, Hakeem Jeffries has been trying to throw stunts out here or there. They're not sticking. Legacy media can't make them stick. The voters don't seem to care. And the tried and true strategy of, okay, we'll just focus everything on Trump, that ain't working either. Nothing's sticking for them. And I love seeing it. I will admit, I am very excited. For the first time in this year, I would say, I'm actually very excited about the prospects of the Republican Party being able to do something. Now, a lot of it's going to depend upon what happens tonight. Tonight's a big night. President Trump, prime time, election integrity. I'm very hopeful that he will make a strong case for the GOP Senate to do something. Get rid of the filibuster, pass the Save America Act, move along. Let's secure the elections. Let's get this done. I hope that that's what this is about. I know that, obviously he's going to be talking about how foreign influence during the 2020 election, going to be talking about voter fraud. He'll be talking about certain things, and we'll be covering it, by the way. We'll be covering it right here on this channel, not my other channels. on this channel, the Patriot TV channel, we will be covering the live speech. So be ready for that. You know what I just thought of? Holy crap! I might not be able to. Son of a gun. No, I will. I forgot. I've got an event tonight, a family occasion. Totally forgot about that. I'll have to make some calls and get them to move it. So we went from a 99% chance to we're at about a 70% chance that I'll be able to move some things around and have that tonight. I just totally blew it. Totally forgot about that. Whatever. I am such a bad family man, and it's not because I don't love my family. I adore my family, and they are so supportive. They love what I do. But yes, sometimes I do get a little overwhelmed with the schedules. It is what it is. We're trying to save a nation. We're trying to expand and share the gospel. We're trying to do so many things. And sometimes I just wish there was about 25, maybe 26, maybe 30 hours in a day. It would make my life a whole lot easier. Today's episode is brought to you by my tremendous friends, not just good friends, not just great friends. These are tremendous friends over at Advisor Bullion. You can check them out by going to jdrucker.com/gold, jdrucker.com/gold. Only bullion. Doesn't deal with numismatics unless you request them. You can still get numismatics from them, but their specialty is bullion. They like to sell as much gold or silver for as little money as possible. In other words, they go based on quality and weight versus whoever's picture is on the coin. Whether you're needing to roll over your retirement, do a transfer, pay cash, and just pop it in your safe, give Ira a holler by going to jdrucker.com/gold. Let's get the handy dandy. Where'd it go? I lost my Patriot TV swoosh. Let me find my Patriot TV swoosh. There it is, and let's get started. How do you know you're winning? When the opposition has to resort to lies, deception, smoke screens, flat-out manufacturing of events to try to pin them on you. That's exactly what happened this week in San Jose State University. According to an article we have over at Discern Report, this is a la The Blaze. We have the summary, I should say, at Discern Report. This is a white nation! That was what the hate crime claimed, except it wasn't a hate crime from some white supremacist. It was actually an LGBT-flagged Chinese student who has been charged after a string of hate hoaxes at San Jose State University. Yep, we're so dang racist in this country that Chinese students have to go manufacture events and pretend like there's all this racist, bigoted hate. According to the article, a Chinese student flagged as LGBT who was charged with a string of hate hoaxes, I should say, at San Jose University, including claims that this is a white nation. The student fabricated multiple incidents of racism and threats, using them to push narratives of systemic oppression on campus. Which, by the way, there is systemic oppression on campus. It's just against the non-LGBT, I guess the straight, white, mostly men, but also the girls as well. Investigators uncovered the hoaxes after inconsistencies emerged in the reported events. The case highlights the weaponization of hate crime claims and the rush to believe unsubstantiated allegations that fit preferred political narratives. Did you ever notice that if it's something, let's say there's like a terrorist attack, a suicide bomber, it's like the media and the police and Democrats, and they're always like, we can't rush to judgment. You know, there's even a meme, I think it was on Family Guy, it's like there's another terrorist attack and it's not known with, oh, nope, it was the Muslims. You know, that was the punchline. It was funny, and it's true. Look, if there's a terrorist attack, it's not 100% of the time. It's only like 98% or 99% of the time, but it is a high percentage. And look, I mean, you can say the same thing about, what about the percentage of serial killers those are generally white. It's like, yeah. When somebody says there's a serial killer out there, I do think of probably a white male. Most of the time, a serial killer will be a white male. Does that mean I'm racist against whites? Or if I see a suicide bombing, does that mean I'm racist against Islam or Muslims? No, it just means that there are tendencies, and we can appreciate those. And when there's a sign, or what is it, another Juicy Smollett moment, that's not what. There are white supremacists in this country, and they don't go around with putting up signs of "this is a white nation." I mean, it's like that's what an idiot would think that a white supremacist would put as graffiti somewhere. It's like the dumbest thing. But yeah, notice they'll never rush to judgment. Never, if it doesn't fit their political narrative. But by golly, if it looks like it's white supremacist, look, white supremacy. San Jose University, there should be calling the National Guard, bringing every FBI investigator possible. It's another J6 moment. But again, I look at this as a positive story because the truth did come out. It did demonstrate racism, but not the type of racism that it was intended to make us believe in. Critics will argue that hoaxes erode trust, you think, in genuine victims and fuel division on college campuses already steeped in identity politics. The incident adds to a growing list of exposed hate crime fabrications used to advance activist agendas. The Blaze calls for greater skepticism towards unsubstantiated claims and accountability for those who exploit racial and sexual identity for attention gain. Here's the reality. If you want to say, let's not jump to any conclusions, it's hard. Okay, I'm one of those guys. I like to jump to conclusions. I see something, I think, okay, yeah, serial killer, probably a white dude. I jump to that conclusion. I won't declare it definitively by any means until the facts are known. But I think that the better way to handle journalism is to wait for the official information, the official account, unless you have clear evidence. Like, for example, if there's video evidence of a guy walking around with a rifle. I remember we saw that. Where was that? I forgot where it was, but it was clearly a person of color, male, walking around with a rifle, and yet they still withheld that judgment, even though the video was public. They still withheld that declaration for hours with the shooter active and free. So there are times when you do have to jump to conclusions. You do have to get honest descriptions of what happened and who perpetrated whatever. And yes, sometimes that's going to include, somebody's race, somebody's skin color. If they're fat, they're fat. Say they're fat. Don't be like, well, we got to be sensitive towards the obese, the body challenge. I don't even know what they call it. The robust people. I don't know. Look, somebody wants to call me fat. They do it all the time. Okay, yeah, well, it's true. I need to lose weight. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with needing to lose weight. I want to lose weight, but I'm okay with being told the truth. I don't have like some weird sensitivity to it. And if somebody wants to say that I'm half Asian, half Caucasian, so be it. Describe me like that. You're not going to have to, because chances are, unless something really crazy happens, I'm not going to go committing any major crimes that I know of. And if I did, they probably wouldn't catch me anyway. But that's a story for another day. Point being is that we cannot know who we're fighting unless there's some honesty in the narrative. And when you have the left manufacturing the narrative, then we really have no idea what's real and what's fake.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Knowing and acknowledging that the Marxist Democrats are engaged in massive fraudulent activities, that's good. That's a start. But actually exposing it, actually bringing that information to light, bringing it to the people for our information, bringing it to government officials and law enforcement for their, hopefully, Lord willing, for them to be able to act, that's even better, which is why I greatly appreciate. I've talked often about Nick Shirley and James O'Keefe. Well, there's a new kid on the block. Okay, she's doing a very good job. Her name is Angela Rose, and she is traveling the country, traveling sometimes out of the country, to try to get the scoop and try to do what Nick Shirley has been doing, and maybe even better. So in this case, she's going after Ilhan Omar, who happens to be one of my favorite fraudsters to go after. So kudos to Angela Rose for this report.
Ilhan Omar was trying to pass $1.46 million of taxpayers' money to Generation Hope, which is a substance abuse clinic, drug addiction place that was supposed to be operating here, but people found out that it is a restaurant.
It's the exact address where we are that she listed to receive $1.46 million.
And as you'll see, there are other things that operate out of here, like a saw hall service.
Okay, so Angela Rose is a bit cheesy, but it's charming. I'm digging it. I wish she would get a cameraman and maybe a couple of security guards if she's going to be out there doing this stuff. Maybe they were just off camera. Who knows? But it's not exactly the safest job out there. Ask Andy No. Ask any of these guys that have been attacked, and many of them have. So yes, please, if you can reach out to Angela Rose, tell her to get some security, unless she already has it and we just don't know about it. Either way, let's get her secure. Let's get them all secure. Let's get more citizen journalists out there, not just sitting behind a desk ranting every day like me. That's fine. That's what I do. But no, we need people out on the street. We need people who can not only expose it so that the people are informed, but also to get this information out to the officials, the law enforcement, the government officials, the Republicans, whoever, who might actually be able to do something about it. That's what we need. And people like Angela Rose, Nick Shirley, and their like are out there doing the work. We need more of them. We need 10 times more of them, 100 times more of them out there in every single city. I've long said that if I had a billionaire sugar daddy who wanted to fix America, that's what I would do. That's the very first thing I would do. I'd do a lot of things, but that's the first thing I would do is hire a bunch of Nick Shirleys and Angela Roses, send them out to every city, and just start finding the corruption. Just knock on doors with your cell phone, whatever, and security, and make sure that you get it done. But I don't know if you noticed, there was that location where Ilhan Omar's trying to send $1.4 million. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. Drug addiction. You got drug addiction. Okay. You go down, right? They got plenty of money because Ilhan Omar's sending them money. You can pick up food there. It's a restaurant. So not only do you get to get treatment, I guess, for your drug addiction, you get to pick up food at the restaurant, and you have the wire transfer service there. You can take the money that you got from Ilhan Omar and send some of it to Al-Shabaab. And it's a win-win-win. I'm sorry, but you can complain all you want, but to me, this was brilliant.
Check out the big brain on bread.
Okay, so maybe it was ugly, not brilliant. I shouldn't be cheering them on. No, the real brilliance is in the independent journalists like Angela Rose, who are out there doing the work, exposing the fraud, and we need more of that. So if you know a billionaire somewhere, let them know. Let them know this is what we need to do. This is it.
This is it. I'm telling you, this is it.
Speaking of big brains, let's check out the big brain on Pratt, Spencer Pratt, to be specific. And while I'm going to play this, I don't 100% agree with his conclusion, but I'm not dogmatic about this disagreement. I could be convinced, okay? I'd have to see the numbers. I'd have to see the logistics. I think it's probably a bad idea, but it's definitely better than what's happening right now in California. And I don't know, maybe I'm old-fashioned. You tell me, what do you guys think about this concept?
Tonight, we're taking a closer look at ballot harvesting.
They call it ballot harvesting.
Ballot harvesting.
Ballot harvesting can be one of the most confusing and contentious ways to cast a ballot.
Now, what is ballot harvesting? Well, first off, it's illegal in normal states. But in California, it's perfectly legal. Ballot harvesting is when you terminate the chain of custody that is meant to ensure secure voting. And it gives non-election officials, including employees of the candidates, legal access to your ballot to do whatever they want with it.
Practice involves a third party picking up a ballot a voter has filled out and dropping it off at a drop box or an elections department. Ballot harvesting could lead to someone voting in place of someone else, or allow a third party to tamper with or throw out ballots.
It used to be restricted to just immediate family members. California opened it up to anybody.
Prior to 2013, a voter had to be ill or disabled for someone else to return a ballot for them, and they had to be a family member or from the same household. After 2013, you no longer had to be sick or disabled. If you wanted a member of your household to return your ballot, they could. In 2016, the law changed again, so anyone could return your ballot, and there was no limit on how many ballots they could turn in.
So they don't want anything to get in the way of their ballot harvesting operation. This is their playbook. It's been their playbook for decades.
Anyone can take your ballot. Proponents of ballot harvesting will pretend that it's necessary because people who live in remote areas and the elderly can't figure out how to send mail, and they need a blue-haired commie to do it for them. Obviously, this is fake. You can send mail by putting it in your own mailbox. So if you have the capacity to receive the ballot, you have the exact same capacity to send the ballot. The mere fact that you have the ballot is proof that you don't need a stranger to send it. This isn't about helping people send in their ballots. It's about giving activists access to your ballot so they can rig the game. This new system is so bad, even the LA Times called for its repeal, warning that it does open the door to coercion and fraud. Now, on paper, it is illegal for ballot harvesters to tell you how to vote or influence you in any way. They cannot tell you what to vote for, but what stops them from doing it? What stops a Nithya Raman supporter from collecting ballots at homes with Pratt signs on their lawn and then just throwing them in the garbage? Well, nothing. Ballot harvesting lets the camel's nose under the tent. It introduces the menace of political activists influencing voters and electioneering at the polling place, but out of view of authorities, removing voting from the sterile field. You can't electioneer at the polling site where you vote in person, but now the ballots are sent to everyone's homes. Everyone's home is now a polling site, but there ain't nobody overseeing the laws. The casino has rigged the game. That's why they never lose.
They can just go and send out a bunch of labor organizers, go through housing projects, go through homeless encampments, get votes from people who weren't planning on voting, get them to vote in the ways they wanted them to.
It may be tough to coerce a vote at a polling site. The people there are committed voters and they've already made up their minds. But when everyone in California gets a ballot, that includes a lot of apathetic people who never vote and simply don't care. Easily talked into voting for the commie candidate when one of their minions harasses them at the door and says, "Hey, you want a rent freeze? You want free stuff? Vote for Nithya. Hey, I'll take the ballot for you. You know what? Why don't you just sign the envelope? I'll deal with all the paperwork." Is that legal? Nope. But who's watching? You think the apathetic non-voter is going to call the authorities to report illegal electioneering? The game is rigged. You can play if you choose, but the house will never lose. The solution is so simple. Mail ballots need to be banned. They're too vulnerable to fraud. It's also a laughably inefficient and primitive system. We should be voting by phone. All of our phones have high-level security and biometric ID with face and fingerprint recognition. We already use our phones for banking, medical records, TSA, crypto. If it's secure enough for all of that, it's secure enough for voting. Every phone vote will be posted to a public ledger anonymously with a unique ID that only you can possess, so you can go online to the ledger, validate that your vote was counted, and every item you vote for was properly cast. The results would be perfect and instantaneous, with results at 8 p.m. on election night, the moment polls close. Not only would the vote be more secure, more efficient, and more accurate, turnout would skyrocket. This is a 360 win, and there's literally no good reason to not vote this way in this modern era, unless, of course, you don't want the fraud to stop.
I want the fraud to stop. I am not convinced that we can't just go vote in person or file for, if you have a very, very legitimate need to do a mail-in ballot. For example, you're out of the country, you're serving in the military, you're in the hospital, something like that. then I could see it. My preference would be just everybody votes in person. You go to the polling place, you vote in person on election day. That's it. Mail-in ballots are limited to those who get exceptions. But again, I haven't seen the dynamics, the logistics, the statistics, the analyses, the whatever. I'm just saying, I guess I'm opening up the possibility that I could be convinced that Spencer Pratt's concept is good. I will say this. I mean, it's definitely better, right? I mean, anything's better than what we have now. It is impossible for a Republican to win in the vast majority of districts in California. It is absolutely impossible for a Republican to win a statewide election, even when you've got somebody like Javier Becerra, who is more corrupt than just about any politician alive. And he's almost certainly going to be the next governor of California. And this is with a very popular, well-known, well-spoken Republican running, who's not exactly a staunch, constitutional conservative. He's not a MAGA guy. He's not America First guy. He's just he's a California Republican. He'd be a Democrat. Probably Steve Hilton would probably be a Democrat if he were in like Wisconsin, not Wisconsin, but Wyoming. I mean, but even he, I don't want to say he doesn't have a chance. I just can't see. And this is where I start to sound a little bit in the dumps because I live out here. It does suck that the game is, as Spencer Pratt rightly noted, it is rigged. So I'm almost ready to say, you know what? He's right. Let's just vote by phone because anything would be better than the way that the California system is currently rigged.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's a shame that I already used the the clip from The Usual Suspects about convincing the world that the devil doesn't exist. That would have been apropos for this next piece. And this qualifies under the category of you really legitimately can't make it up. So yesterday there was a hearing. Rand Paul's committee held a hearing that had James O'Keefe. It had Nick Shirley. That was supposed to be about exposing fraud. You'd think, okay, fraud's something nobody likes. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, nobody likes fraud unless you're the recipient of the fraud. So I guess there are some Democrats that do like it. But yeah, you'd think that at a hearing about fraud with experts who have exposed fraud numerous times over the months and years that the Democrats would have an interest in it, but apparently they didn't.
Senator Scott.
Chairman, wouldn't a Democrat go next since the Republican just testified?
If there were a Democrat here, yes.
So there's no Democrats present at a hearing about fraud?
There doesn't appear to be a great deal of interest across the aisle.
Doesn't appear to be a very, very much interest. Article over at LifeZet.com, my good friends over at LifeZet. Democrats vanish from explosive Senate fraud hearing as O'Keefe and Shirley drop bombshells. And they did. They did drop bombshells. Most of it we already knew, but still. I've quickly learned over the years, which I guess is an oxymoron. I have learned slowly, apparently, over the years, that just because I'm aware of something or you're aware of something, we can't assume that the rest of America is aware. As a matter of fact, I would argue that most of America isn't even aware about the Leering centers. For example, we laugh about it. We hear it on every show that we listen to, or over the months, we've heard it at least 5, 10, 15, 100 times. But your average American watching CNN or Fox News or nothing, a lot of them just don't watch anything, TikTok, I guess, they probably don't know about the massive widespread fraud that is occurring in the United States of America, which is why we still have to talk about it, we still have to expose it, and we still have to make sure that even if Democrats walk out of the hearing, that the information about it is still out there. Let me enlarge this a bit for you. At a Senate hearing meant to expose massive taxpayer fraud, the empty chairs told the story better than any witness could. Not a single Democrat bothered to show up when O'Keefe Media Group founder James O'Keefe and independent investigator Nick Shirley appeared before the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee to lay out shocking evidence of government waste. Now, I don't think that's accurate. I think that they did have a ranking member show up, whoever that was. I didn't watch it, I'll admit. I just watched clips from it, but yeah, either way, I mean, you saw, at least at that point, at that moment during the hearing, they were all gone. They ran for the hills. Committee Chairman Rand Paul could not help but observe the obvious absence of interest from across the aisle, while Senator Bernie Moreno flatly pointed out the absurdity of holding a hearing on fraud with 0 Democrats participating. It'd be like a criminal trial where the accused just doesn't even show up. And yeah, I am insinuating that it's Democrats that are committing most of the fraud. When the issue is taxpayer money being siphoned off through corruption and abuse, Democrats' priorities are clear, and accountability is not one of them. O'Keefe, now leading the O'Keefe Media Group, came armed with hard-hitting revelations about rampant abuse within federal and state programs. He described how his team exposed shady petition circulators caught on hidden camera paying homeless individuals with cash and even drugs to gather voter registrations and signatures. And yes, they literally paid some of them with cigarettes. And there has been a conviction, okay? So out of probably thousands of these people out there getting signatures, getting ballots, ballot harvesting, signature harvesting, bribing, coercing, whatever, we did get one person. And that was a result of James O'Keefe. This is when, I go back to, I'll say it over and over again, if we're going to win, if the Republican Party is going to win and maintain control of the House and the Senate in November, then they need to start acting like James O'Keefe and Nick Shirley. There should be investigations everywhere. We see that the Democrats run and hide because they know that they look like turds when it comes to fraud and corruption, because that's their game. And they don't want Americans to know. If the Republicans focused on that and that alone, and tied it to the economy, of course, they could start taking down Democrats even in blue districts. I firmly believe that. I wish that I could have a meeting with some Republican strategists. I don't even care about the RNC. Just give me some people that can actually make stuff happen. And this is the campaign. You want to spend money? Spend money on investigations. Not just oppo research, not just getting television ads out there with clunky whatever. This message brought to you by, who cares? Okay, no, that I don't think that has an impact the way that it did just a decade or two ago. I think what makes an impact is when people learn how corrupt their current politicians are, how corrupt the Democrat Party is, and then maybe, just maybe, we could actually have some nice things. Because people vote based upon finances. What, 60-70% of the time? Yes, there are those single issue voters that they might vote on because of abortion or because of crime or because of education. That's a small percentage. Most people, if their checking account and their wallets are full and they're paying their bills and things are looking good, they're happy with whoever's in charge. And if the opposite is true, then they're unhappy. That's why there's a lot of change that happens during these elections. But you can take fraud and you could tie that to Democrats, and then you can tie that to the voters' pocketbooks. Are you doing well, Mr. Voter? Could you be doing much better? Then why is $1.4 million, why are Democrats trying to get $1.4 million to a drug addiction facility at a restaurant that has wire transfers? You don't see a whole lot of druggies, at least not seeking assistance. They might be seeking food, or they might be sending money somewhere, but they're not going there to break their addiction. The only addiction they're trying to break is the addiction to the corruption that the Democrat Party seems to be very much attached to.
Here it is. Show me the money.
Pop quiz. How can you tell that a party is in complete disarray? When they don't trust their own insiders and force them to sign non-disclosure agreements before they're allowed to enter closed-door meetings to try to deal with the various disasters plaguing them. That is your Democrat National Committee and what they're having to do today, according to an article we have over at conservativeplaylist.com. This was exclusive reporting from Axios. I don't like Axios, so we rewrote it with a little bit more clarity, we'll say. DNC demands NDAs from party insiders as debt mounts and midterm disaster looms. It shouldn't be like this, okay? This is a midterm in which the Republicans have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. Now, for those who maybe you didn't know this, for the past 4 decades, a party in power, okay, they get 2 years. That's it. It's how it's always been for a very long time. You know, the first 2 years of a 4-year term, oftentimes even the 8-year term, the party in control will have control over the House, the Senate, and the White House. It happened. It's happening now. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. It happened during the first 2 years of the Otto Penn administration. It happened during the first 2 years of President Trump's first administration. It happened during the first 2 years of Obama's administration, which is how we got Obamacare. Don't get me started. George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, go all the way back. You got to get back to Lincoln, not Lincoln, not that far. Nixon. I think Nixon was the last one who didn't have control. It might have actually been even before him. But the point being is it's been a long time, okay? A lot of you weren't alive the last time that a party had control of the Senate, the House, and the White House for more than 2 years at a time. So, midterms, generally speaking, are a bloodbath for whichever party is in charge. So, Democrats should be doing great, right? No, they're not. They're having massive challenges. They know it. They're feeling the pressure, and now they're scared. They don't want information leaking. The Democratic National Committee is circling the wagons with non-disclosure agreements as its financial house of cards teeters ahead of the 2026 midterms. In a telling break from normal practice, DNC officers were asked to sign NDAs before a closed-door meeting on the party's dire money situation, exposing deep anxiety at the top of a party already reeling from electoral defeats and donor fatigue, and of course, the Democrat Socialists of America, which are taking over. There's that. This is not the mark of a confident political machine with nearly $15 million in cash, but over $18 million in debt. The DNC lags catastrophically behind the Republican National Committee, which boasts $125 million on hand and zero debt. The contrast could not be starker. One party manages resources with discipline and donor enthusiasm. The other resorts to secrecy to manage embarrassment. I don't know if I would categorize the GOP as managing their resources with discipline and donor enthusiasm. They're doing better, obviously, than the Democrats, but I think that they often waste money where it doesn't need to be wasted. It's been a little bit better. Okay, I'll admit that. The last 2.5 years have been better than they were before. Okay, that's enough about that. Maybe a little longer. We'll say 3 years. 3 years of pretty decent calls. I still don't like them, but they are managing their money well. DNC Chair Ken Martin has faced mounting internal criticism over leadership and fundraising failures. His defensive posture, including public insistence that spending rather than raising is the real story, which nobody's buying, rings hollow when stacked against reality. Democrats are not merely trailing, they are structurally disadvantaged as a Supreme Court ruling expands coordinated spending opportunities that overwhelmingly favor the better-funded GOP. The NDA episode underscores a broader pattern of opacity and mismanagement. High-ranking party officials, not typical staff bound by routine confidentiality, were pressed to stay silent about discussions that should concern every Democrat worried about the party's viability. Now, I want you to understand why this is so dang important. Okay, these closed-door meetings, generally speaking, yes, they do talk about some bad stuff, but they also is supposed to build enthusiasm because the people that go to these meetings are usually the best fundraisers for the party. So when you're telling these guys, these fundraisers, these guys that are going out there to try to raise money for the DNC, and you're slapping an NDA on them, telling them not to say anything that's being discussed here, that's a very bad sign, folks. That's a horrible sign. I know, they're just signing a piece of paper. What's the big deal? This is a huge deal. Nobody's going to report it. I'm surprised Axios even reported it. I think they only reported it because they got the scoop. But otherwise, you're not going to see this on CNN. You're probably not even going to see it on Fox News. But this is a bombshell. Okay? It really tells a story of a party that is absolutely terrified. They would never do this under any normal circumstance. And like I said, the Democrat Socialists of America really, truly do have them spooked. It's not just about winning primaries in deep blue areas. That's bad enough for the Democrat Party. But what's worse is that they don't know who they can trust. They know that their insiders, some of them, are cutting deals. When you have people like Kamala Harris trying to court Zohran Mamdani, when you have others within the party secretly meeting with the DSA, you've got people like Rahm Emanuel, who's he's as establishment as it gets within the DNC, and he's allegedly, I don't want to, actually I'm not even supposed to know about this, so I probably shouldn't say anything. So I won't scratch Rahm Emanuel from the record. I didn't mention him. I have heard some things, but again, unconfirmed, and I don't like spreading rumors. I'm not one of those guys. Okay, with that said, this is still horrible for the Democrats. Really bad news. And they're going to put on a happy face. They're going to smile and say, oh, it's not so bad. They're going to talk about being gung-ho and excited and, oh, Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. But the real problem they're having is internal. And it's not just the DSA either. And it's not just the insiders that are trying to cut deals with the DSA. They're looking around and they're realizing they don't have a message. The message should be fully formed and in full effect by now. But instead, they're still they're still stuck on, it's just all, they hate Trump so much that they're unwilling or unable to break free from that being their talking point. I think the Iran war, if there was any silver lining to the Iran war, it's that if things do turn to the positive here in the next couple of months, then the Democrats will be reeling because that's all they got right now. Okay, all they've got is, look at your gas prices, look at your food prices, look at affordability. Look at they're turning away from the Jews. They're hardcore turning away from the Jews right now because of the demands of the DSA. They're doing everything they can to pull away from the old guard of Chuck Schumer. They already got Nancy Pelosi finally to leave. Chuck Schumer is on his way out. This is a party that's in trouble. Now, generally, I don't like to think along the lines of I was that guy that naysayer back in 2022 when everybody was talking about a red tsunami, and I'm like, guys, no, that's not coming. It's not going to come the way that you guys are thinking. And yet everybody was like, oh my gosh, look at the polling. Look at the polls. It's going to be a bloodbath. Republicans are going to take over everything. And it didn't happen. I mean, we got some wins out of it, but definitely not what we were told was going to happen. But seeing what the RNC is doing, which again, it's performing better, not just financially, just in general, they're doing a better job than they had been doing for decades. These last 3 years have been good for the RNC. I'm still not willing to support them. Still wouldn't send them a penny. Still don't trust them, but they are doing a better job. Republican candidates doing a better job. DSA dragging down the Democrat Party, positive. I'm not saying that I'm I'm expecting, I'm not ready to make predictions that the Republicans can maintain control of the House and the Senate during these midterm elections, even make gains in state legislatures, in governorships. I'm not ready to say that yet, but I am feeling better than I have in a long time about the Republican prospects for the midterms.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
The Democrats did get some good news yesterday. This is, I know they've had a long string of bad things happening to them, but they dodged a bullet. They dodged a bullet yesterday with Joe Biden releasing the book that was written, I'm assuming, by AI or Ghostwriter or AutoPen or Dr. Jill or whatever. Somebody wrote a book, slapped Joe Biden's name on it, called it Promise Me America. Okay. But the good news part is that it's not going to be released until after the midterm elections. I'm sure they were thinking, oh my gosh, because there were rumors it was going to come out in late September. Now they claim that it's not coming out in late September because they don't want it going up against Obama's memoir, which for whatever reason, that one is coming out before the election. I'm sure it will be more whatever. But they held Joe's book, whoever wrote it, doesn't get to come out until after the midterm elections. Now, I'm going to make you watch it because I watched it, and I'm just going to apologize up front, but it's interesting.
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing? I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I'm dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I've been getting treatment, and it's been going really well. I want to thank all those who offered their prayers, their support, and well wishes. It's meant the world to me and to Jill. I've written a book about my time as president. It's called Promise Me America. It's coming out in November, and it's available for pre-order now. It's about the challenges we face as a nation, about the decisions I made, and why I made them. Leading the country through COVID, rebuilding our economy, and restoring our democracy after the attack on January 6th. Ending our nation's longest war in Afghanistan, strengthening NATO, and supporting Ukraine. It's about why I chose to run for re-election and why I chose to step aside. Most of all, it's about my faith in the promise of America. The promise we made to those who've gone before us is to honor their sacrifice. The promises we made to one another and to treat everyone with dignity and respect. And the promises we made to future generations of Americans to remain the beacon to the world. Promise Me America is about my faith in America and the American people. I hope you'll read it, and I hope it strengthens your faith in what we can do as a nation and a people.
I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be buying that book. You probably won't either, but hey, at least somebody will talk about it. Somebody will read it, and then they'll tell us all about it. If there's anything juicy in it, I doubt there will be. I doubt there's going to be any attacks on any Democrats. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Trump derangement syndrome. There'll be plenty of Charlottesville, January 6th, whatever, you know. I have faith in America because we'll get rid of all the racists or whatever. We'll stop those racists at San Jose University. If you're late to the show, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah. So the five had interesting responses. Sort of boring, I'll admit, but I'm gonna play it anyway because. What's her name? Jessica Tarlov, I think, is her name. She's the token leftist on there. She is normally pretty fiery, and this time she was trying to play her role, do her thing as the lone Democrat on the panel. But even she sounded pretty darn depressed about this whole thing, and I think she tried to turn it into a guilt fest or something against her co-host for, oh, you leave Joe alone. Leave Joe alone. I don't think it's Joe Biden anyway, but whatever. Here is the 5.
Have you pre-ordered your book?
Obviously. Yeah, and I got the giveaway drool pad that comes with every copy. And that's all he was missing, was just a long line attached to his tie there. This is going to be absolutely worthless. There are no Bidenites left in the world. Even Hunter isn't going to shell out $16.95 to read this because, again, and not only was it written by someone else, it's not going to have anything of substance. No one cares about the decisions that were made by committee. No one cares that he should have been pushed out of the race months earlier and replaced with an actual primary and not the substandard Kamala Harris. What they do care about are the actual feuds with the Clintons and the Obamas and Nancy Pelosi. And, Dr. Jill didn't write about stuff, and she should have. Everyone would have read that book. And if he were going to be bold and really cement his legacy, then, throw some punches. Don't hold back. Right. This is the only time he will ever have to do that, and he has squandered an opportunity to be a really interesting person.
Dana, do you think someone told him you are not releasing this book before the midterms?
It's actually a pretty traditional model for a former president. I remember when President Bush's book came out, it was after the midterms in 2010. It makes sense. Right. This doesn't make sense. What would have made sense is for the Democratic committee to have raised enough money to have just given that to Joe Biden as a donation so that he didn't have to write this book. It's obviously going to be extremely painful. And also the other thing that's going to happen is he's doing it in the presidential year. So in 2010, okay, you have time then for Obama's going to run for re-election. Now we know there's going to be a possible open primary on both sides. What do you think happens at midnight on election night? We turn our attention to the presidential election. So now every Democrat that wants to run is going to have to deal with this book. Like they keep. Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. If it was to school, I'd be sent to the principal's office. I'm not going to buy the book, but I would buy the audio. If he's, I just don't know how you write a memoir without a memoir. This is I listened to this morning. This is absolutely brutal. There was at least 35 cuts in a 20-second video. This is bad. And shame on it, making him do he didn't need to do this commercial. No. Whom is doing this? How much does Dr. Jill dislike her husband to keep pushing him out there? He says the same thing over and over again. He says, believe in America, because I believe in the American people. If you believe in America, we're assuming it's not the physical ground, it's the people. It's just nonsense, and shame on them for, wow. He also said, I wrote this book, sir. Sir.
Yeah, right. Do you think he'll do Fox, Jessica, when he does his book tour?
I guess I would doubt it. I could see a world maybe in a long-form sit-down, potentially, but no, I don't expect so. I was relieved to see the November 17th date because there was talk of a late September release, but that's when the second half of Obama's memoir comes out.
Wait. Dueling memoirs?
Memoir?
This is going to be great.
Longer.
Yeah, now and then.
Anyway, it's happening at different times. The video did bum me out. I mean, he's sick, he has cancer, he's talking about how he's been undergoing treatment. I hope that the prognosis is good. The video and the swirl around this takes away from the accomplishments. And
what were they again?
Well, we had the fastest recovery from COVID of all the GC.
Killed more people than Trump did.
That was fact.
Mm-hmm. Or Joe Biden killed people?
Under COVID, yeah, more people died from COVID under Biden than Trump. And also, Ulysses S. Grant wrote his memoir while he was dying of cancer, and it is considered one of the most scintillating presidential memoirs ever in the history of our country.
I think that it would behoove people to be a little bit kinder to an older person who served the country for a very long time and who is sick. And
Great argument for term limits.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Well, he's not. I'm just saying.
We will try to be kind.
No, you won't.
I'm not going
Clearly, nobody wants to talk about this.
I am so sorry. It's a very not a good thing to yawn on air, but by golly, I mean, it was a topic that again, this is the best news that they've gotten. I had to throw something out there. Don't get mad at me. The Democrats they're floundering. They're struggling. Some of them are going in unhinged wacko. Okay, James Carville, which that's his normal speed, but then a lot of them are going apoplectic. They're making Jessica Tarlov and Joe Biden seem like they're just loaded with energy because they don't know what to do. This is the best news they've gotten in a while, and that's saying a lot.
It's the smell.
All right, we are almost ready. They're not ready. We're ready. They're not ready for us to do our raid on the Wendy Bell radio program. I could do one more story, fit it in 2 minutes, but instead I'm going to leave you with an amazing clip, a news clip. We collect news clips, lots of them. I shouldn't say that. It's a blessing. I do get to stay on top of the news, not by ever having to watch the news, but by watching clips that other people find so that I can get most of the news in a much shorter period of time. I don't have to sit there and watch an hour-long show to get the clips. Now, I love watching hour-long shows. I just don't like watching an hour of Fox News or Newsmax or anything like that. I like watching Wendy Bell, which you're about to watch. So stay tuned. We're going to do a raid into her show. And I'm going to get ready for that. In the meantime, while you wait for the raid, here's an awesome clip. Let's see, which one do I want to do? Oh, and otherwise, see you after the Wendy Bell show on my other channel at the J.D. Rucker show. See ya.
U.S. Marshals rescued a child in Phoenix who had been missing for almost 4 months. Authorities were tipped off last Thursday, and surveillance video caught the girl near a house with several men. Deputies kept watch and moved in to save her. We're told one of the suspects tried stopping law enforcement. Deputies ended up arresting 2 men, Miguel Mendez Vargas and Jose Mendez Bayo, are from Mexico. They're in ICE custody on federal immigration violations. Mendez Vargas is also charged with assaulting federal officers. Law enforcement is still investigating the crimes, but say there is a possibility the girl was sexually exploited.
Correct. I mean, $700 million in cash flowing out of the Minneapolis airport back to countries in Africa. Have either of you gentlemen kind of investigated the foreign sourcing or an organization of a lot of this fraud? I mean, we're opening up to foreign governments to fund their own operations.
Well, yeah, it's been proven that a lot of the money in suitcases that left Minnesota went back into the hands of people inside Somalia. And for instance, in New York City, where I just did an expose exposing this adult daycare fraud, nobody at these daycares actually knows who the owner is. A lot of them had just been hired within the past month. In Miami, you have the Cuban government running these DME companies that are fleecing and quite literally looting from Medicaid. A lot of foreign governments have infiltrated our Medicaid because it's so simple and so easy to defraud.
By the way, we know it's $700 million because government watched it go out. They let it go. They didn't even put the IRS on the case. It's truly remarkable what we're allowing to happen here. So again, Mr. Chairman, I commend you, like Senator Ernst did, for holding this hearing, and Ashley Moody. This is an incredibly important hearing, and it speaks volumes that only the ranking member showed up to denigrate Mr. Shirley's efforts. Quite honestly, that was why he showed up, and not one of them are here talking about these hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars worth of fraud.
You came to the conclusion that you couldn't negotiate with the IRGC. Does that mean that you might wipe them out like you did ISIS?
Yeah, it does. We will see what's happening. We received a call just as I was coming here. They want to meet. They always want to meet. But, this should have been done by other presidents for many years, for 47 years, but really a lot longer than that, and it wasn't. And I never understood why, but now I do. Because if you're not going to do it the way I'm doing it, you're never going to make a deal with them. They were very difficult. They're good negotiators. They were tapping everybody along for 47 years. Then Obama came in and he just offered them, a fortune of money. He paid them off. $1.7 billion in green cash and hundreds of billions of dollars. And that really set everyone else back because they started wanting to make nuclear weapons. And then we hit them just about a year ago, with the B-2 bombers, and that ended that. So we got a little bit lucky. Our timing was a little bit lucky.
Yeah, so Mr. President, Dan Kane, Raising Kane, is your chief of staff.
Right.
He was the one, or Joint's chief of staff, he was the one who wiped out ISIS.
That's right.
Could he be tasked then now to wipe out the IRGC if you can't negotiate with them?
Well, we're going to be in good shape. I mean, they are really, they've been depleted. Their weapons are down 91%. The drone capacity is way down. They still have, but not a lot. Their manufacturing capacity is down. Their rocket launchers and their missile launchers are way down. Their missiles are way down. They're probably depleted by 88, close to 90%. Now, that doesn't mean there's still not danger, and there is. They're nasty people, but they want to make a deal. I can tell you they want to make a deal, and you don't have to be a genius to realize when you see what's happening to them every night. And now today we gave them a little daytime shot, too. So this should have been done, not by me. This should have been done a long time ago, long before me.